So Kelly and I got married 3.5 years ago, and it was the most perfect wedding ever, of course, and so much in love, and we just started out as, I guess, as basic and standard as you can get. As we got a dog, then we got a house
to practice parenting skills.
To practice our parenting skills, and then we had a baby. He was the light of our life. Little Garrett, who's 10 months old now. And everything was just going perfect. In fact, there's many times where we'd say we just have the perfect life. And then this happened. Then leukemia happened. And everything came to a stop for a while. Not for good, but for a while. And we realized what is most important in life, and it was what we already had. It was us. It was our family. It was our next of kin. It was our dearest friends in the neighborhood, and we realized that was going to be our support group. That was going to be the people around us for the next little while through this journey, to be there for us, to help us, and it was up to us to accept it with love and to get used to it. It's hard to get used to such a huge outpouring of love and support, and having people do things for you because you are unable to do them. I'm unable to work. I was the sole source of income, and so people have been doing things and going just hog wild on fundraisers and selling bracelets and
logos and
everything.
Board meetings, the Todd Larson leukemia board meeting.
There's a board that has been established to help this machine run, and it is a machine, and it's running perfectly. And
we are very
to
blessed.
all of our friends and family, we are extremely grateful for that, because without them, it would be a lot. It'd be a lot harder.
Beautiful.
It really would.
Okay. Now tell me about how leukemia happened for you.
So I had in my left calf just this strange pain that felt like a torn muscle, and it started swelling up, and over the course of 5 or 6 days I was not able to walk on it. So at that point in time, Kelly said, we better go to the emergency room. This isn't good. This isn't good. Yeah, I was hopping around and hobbling around, and the pain was so bad it was making me nauseous. So she said we better go to the emergency room, and that was September 18th. And I'll never forget that date, because after doing some blood tests, they found that I had leukemia. And I wasn't even sure what that was. I knew that it was a cancer, and when my doctor told me that we had to look at leukemia, I was scared at first. And I remember telling Kelly, and we were scared. And after we learned more about it, and after the diagnosis, that very day, or within 24 hours of that day, we realized that it was ALL, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And about 5 days later after that, they also found that I had a Philadelphia Chromosome, which adds a little bit of mess in the works.
It makes it more aggressive.
And it is just going to spread faster because it's chromosomal. And so, and there's Garrett. So it seemed like every time the doctor came in the room, he had bad news. And he had bad news. And my doctor's wonderful. But if there's bad news, that's the first thing he says is, all right, it's bad news. And then they immediately started chemotherapy. And I didn't know what that was going to be like. I had
movie visions
conjured in my head everything you see, and so I knew that the loss of hair was going to happen, And I've been told I'm still quite handsome without my hair, and I appreciate that. You guys are all lying. I got a pointy little head.
I like it.
Thanks. You're weird. And then the chemotherapy, the first round, I had a few real bad days. And other than that, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I thought, you know, if this is what it's going to be like, we're going to lick it. We're going to get this.
And Todd has a lot of fight in him, and so there's no other option. We fight, we continue on. It's not that bad. It's worth it for our outcome. The day he got diagnosed, I want to say it was kind of, you hear it and they say your white blood cell count is elevated, so it might be leukemia. And so you're thinking, but it won't be. It's not that big of a deal. So we go in and then we find out it is. And so you kind of manage that news and you're thinking, well, this is the worst. And, you know, slowly the box kind of gets smaller and it gets more claustrophobic and scarier and darker. And it was a week and a half, 2 weeks, so we finally felt like, okay, this is all the information. Now we know what we're fighting. So it just took so long for test results, and every day it was like we're waiting for things. And I would go in, because our doctor did rounds early, and I'd either stay the night in the hospital or go in really early because I expected these test results. So I kept trying to meet him because I didn't want Todd to be there on his own to hear some more devastating news. And then when we figured out that, okay, this is what it is, then it was, we had a goal, we had, you know, what our enemy looked like, and I think that although it's scary and difficult, the fight is on now because we have it. We know what it looks like. We're not sure what the whole treatment will be or you know, the exact road we're going to take, but at least, you know, it's totally doable.
Absolutely. So I get a little reprieve now. I spent the first 22 days in the hospital, and my counts climbed really high, really fast. And we were really excited because I knew as soon as my blood counts come up and I get out of that neutropenic stage, then I can come home, at least for a while until we go back and do round 2. So we were really excited. So the doctor comes in and says, I got more bad news. And here I am all getting excited about going home, and he says, your white cell count is still half leukemic. The first round of chemotherapy always works, and we don't know why it didn't. And so he studied and studied and studied. Even in the middle of the night, he would wake up and just get on the computer and study. And in dealing with the doctors at City of Hope, they realized that because they had detected my Philadelphia Chromosome later than when they initiated the chemotherapy, that they kind of changed the regimen, and I was about a week off. So the bone marrow biopsy that they did that told us that there was still a lot of leukemia in my white blood cells, it was prematurely done, and so we did one later and it was good, and I got to come home. So that was exciting news.
Great.
Yes, very exciting. So it just so happens that tomorrow I'm doing my third bone marrow biopsy, which will tell us hopefully more good news, and the doctor's hopeful for that too. Because I'm in a downward trend right now with the leukemic cells, so that's a really good thing.
Future.
So we've done 1 round of chemo, and doctors say that I could do up to 8 rounds of chemo, which is about a month process. It's worked out so far through this first one. And it's not the most fun, but I enjoy being in chemo because I know that the leukemic cells are being killed at that point. Mm-hmm. Right now at home I'm enjoying myself, but I know that maybe things are growing in there and coming back, and I feel safer with the poison coming into my body just because I know that that's what has to be done in order to get rid of this disease. So we know that we've got several rounds of chemo, and in dealing with the doctors at City of Hope, which we will be meeting next week, we're just kind of waiting for the green light for an actual bone marrow transplant. And that's really going to be the saving grace. That's going to be after all of the chemotherapy is done, and once they've tamed the leukemia and they know that they can control it and get it down, then they will do a bone marrow transplant, but not until. So.